The relation between transhumanism and eugenics.
Transhumanism and eugenics share overlapping ideas about improving human beings through biological, technological, or genetic enhancements. But they differ in their approach, ethics, and societal implications. While there are significant distinctions between the two, transhumanism can sometimes be seen as a modern, more ethically flexible version of eugenics, especially when it comes to enhancing human abilities and altering our genetic makeup. Here's an analysis of how they are related and where they diverge. 1. Common themes between transhumanism and eugenics. Both transhumanism and eugenics revolve around the idea of improving human capabilities and advancing the human condition, but the methods and objectives vary. A. Genetic enhancement, eugenics. Historically, eugenics focused on improving the human gene pool by encouraging desirable traits and discouraging or eliminating undesirable ones. This could involve selective breeding, sterilization, and sometimes forced interventions. The goal was often to purify the human race by eliminating perceived genetic flaws. Transhumanism. Transhumanism, while not focused on genetic purity, advocates for improving human biology and capabilities through technological interventions. This can include gene editing, CRISPR technology, and the enhancement of physical and cognitive traits to transcend biological limitations. The goal is to enhance human life, intelligence, and longevity rather than cleanse the gene pool. Technological control over biology. Eugenics. Eugenics historically sought to control reproduction, often through coercive or state-mandated measures, to shape human biology in a specific way, e.g., eliminating people with disabilities or limiting certain ethnic groups' reproduction. Transhumanism. Transhumanism focuses on voluntary technological intervention. It looks to A, cybernetics, nanotechnology, and other technologies to augment and enhance the human condition, including life extension, cognitive enhancement, and even merging humans with machines, cyborgs. The key difference is that transhumanism in its ideal form is voluntary and individual-focused, not coercive. Ethical considerations, the divergence between eugenics and transhumanism. While both ideologies consider the possibility of improving humanity, they diverge significantly in their ethics. A. Eugenics and coercion. Eugenics has a dark history tied to forced sterilizations, genocide, and the exclusion of certain groups. It often involved unethical state-sponsored policies targeting marginalized populations, including people with disabilities, racial minorities, and those deemed genetically inferior. Eugenics, especially in its historical forms, was based on paternalistic control over human reproduction, frequently justifying coercion and manipulation in the name of betterment or purity. B. Transhumanism and autonomy. In contrast, transhumanism generally advocates for individual freedom and choice. Transhumanists believe in enhancing human capabilities voluntarily, and they generally focus on empowering people to improve their bodies or minds using available technologies. For instance, someone might choose to undergo genetic modifications or use cognitive enhancement technologies to enhance their abilities. However, the fear arises that, if not handled carefully, the market-driven nature of enhancement technologies could lead to inequalities, social pressure, or coercion, creating scenarios where people feel compelled to enhance themselves to compete in society. This could lead to a form of soft eugenics, where the pressure to conform to certain ideals of enhanced human performance or appearance could become pervasive. 3. Philosophical differences. Eugenics was often driven by a scientific and social agenda, aiming to improve society by eliminating what was deemed undesirable, and was tied to racial and class-based ideologies. It was shaped by a narrow view of what it meant to be human, often valuing certain genetic traits over others. Transhumanism, by contrast, focuses more on human potential and the idea of transcending biological limitations through technology. It is rooted in the idea that humans should embrace change and technological progress to live healthier, longer, and more fulfilling lives. The idea of what constitutes improvement is more flexible and less tied to rigid social or racial ideals. 4. Concerns about overlap and dangers. Although transhumanism generally aims to avoid the coercive and discriminatory elements of eugenics, there are concerns about the potential overlap. A genetic engineering and social inequality, access to enhancement. There is a risk that transhumanism could become another form of inequality if enhancement technologies become available only to the wealthy, creating a genetic divide or technological elite. This could mirror the social hierarchies seen in eugenics, where those with better genetic or social backgrounds are seen as superior, while others are left behind. Social pressure for enhancement. The growing acceptance of technologies like genetic screening, cognitive enhancement, and anti-aging treatments could lead to social pressures to conform to these ideals, creating a new form of eugenics. People could feel they must enhance themselves to fit in or succeed in a society that increasingly values genetic or technological perfection. B. The ethics of human enhancement. Critics of transhumanism argue that the focus on enhancing human traits might lead to the commodification of human life. This could reinforce ideas that certain people or groups are better than others based on enhanced traits, intelligence, beauty, health, indirectly leading to eugenic outcomes, even if such practices are not explicitly coercive. The transhumanist rejection of traditional eugenics. Many prominent transhumanists reject traditional eugenics because it is based on a narrow, deterministic view of what constitutes good genetics. Transhumanism, by contrast, believes in human agency and diversity, that we should use technology to empower individuals to make their own choices about improving themselves, rather than imposing a singular view of what a perfect human being should look like. Transhumanism also generally rejects forced sterilization or state-led population control, arguing that it is not the state's place to dictate how people enhance themselves. The focus is on choice and individual empowerment through technological means. Mont 6. Conclusion. The fine line between enhancement and eugenics. While transhumanism and eugenics share some common ground in their goal to improve humanity, they differ fundamentally in methodology, ethics, and intent. Transhumanism is generally seen as a more optimistic, individual-driven ideology focused on human enhancement through technology, whereas eugenics historically involved coercion and discrimination with a narrow, often racist or ableist view of human improvement. However, as technologies advance and the lines between genetic engineering, enhancement, and societal pressure blur, concerns about the potential for eugenic-like practices emerging within transhumanism are growing. The future will depend on how societies balance technological advances with ethical considerations, ensuring that the pursuit of human enhancement doesn't lead to coercive practices or deepened social inequalities.